I still remember the night I made that promise. I stood by the window, watching the rain hit the glass, and I swore to myself that I would never shed another tear for him. Not one. Not after the way he walked away, without looking back, without a single explanation. That night something inside me cracked, and I told myself that love was just a cruel trick. Something that lures you in, only to leave you empty. I remember the silence after he left. It was the kind of silence that doesn't just fill a room. It fills your chest. You breathe it in until it becomes part of you. Every morning felt like a battle. I'd wake up, force a smile, and tell myself I was fine. That I didn't need him. That I was better off. But the truth? I wasn't fine. I wasn't better. I was just surviving. He had been my everything, my first love, my best friend, my reason to believe in forever. And in a single moment, he became a stranger. He didn't yell, he didn't lie. He just disappeared. No calls, no goodbyes. Just a message that said, I need time. Time for what? To forget me? To erase everything we built? Weeks turned into months. I deleted his photos, blocked his number, and told my friends I had moved on. But at night, when the world went quiet, I'd catch myself replaying our moments. The sound of his laugh, the warmth of his hands, the way he looked at me like I was the only person who existed. And every time my chest tightened, I reminded myself of that vow. Don't cry for him. Not again. So I built a wall around my heart. I threw myself into work, surrounded myself with people, and pretended I was healed. I told everyone I was happy, and maybe in small ways I was. I learned to smile without forcing it. I laughed again. I even went on dates. But love? No. I never let anyone close enough. Because love to me had become a risk I couldn't take twice. Years passed like that, quietly. Until that day. That day that changed everything. It was a late afternoon in early autumn. The kind of day when the sun sets too early and the air smells faintly of nostalgia. I was leaving a cafe near my office when I heard a voice. My name. Soft. Familiar. Almost trembling. For a second I froze. Couldn't be him. Just couldn't. But when I turned around, my heart forgot how to beat. He was standing there. Older maybe. Thinner. But it was him. Those same eyes, the ones that once made me believe the world was safe. I didn't move. I couldn't. He smiled, hesitant, as if afraid I'd turn away. Hi, he said. Just that. One word. And suddenly years of anger, confusion, and buried feelings came crashing down. I wanted to say something sharp. Something to make him feel the pain I had carried. But all I could whisper was, why? He took a step closer. Can we talk? My instinct screamed no. My heart whispered yes. And that's how it started again. We sat at the same cafe where we had shared our first kiss. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same wooden table, the same window, even the same waitress. Everything felt like a cruel reminder of what once was. He told me about the years he spent away, about the city he moved to, the jobs, the mistakes, the nights he thought of calling me but didn't. I thought I was doing the right thing, he said. You deserved more than what I could give back then. I wanted to hate him for saying that. But I couldn't. Because deep down I had always wondered, had he ever missed me? Did I ever cross his mind? And now I knew. I had. We talked for hours. And yet, part of me stayed guarded. Every laugh, every glance came with a silent reminder. Don't fall again. Don't cry again. But his presence. It felt like coming home after a long, cold journey. When he looked at me, it wasn't with pity or regret. It was with something else, something I hadn't seen before. The way he spoke, slower now, more careful, made me realize he wasn't the same man who had left. And maybe I wasn't the same woman who had loved him. Still, when he said, I never stopped thinking about you, I felt the walls I'd built begin to tremble. I told myself to stay calm, to protect my heart. But it was useless. My eyes burned. My throat tightened. And just when I thought I could handle it, he reached across the table, his fingers brushing mine, and whispered, You were the only thing that ever felt real. That's when I stood up. I couldn't breathe. I didn't want to cry. Not there, not in front of him. He followed me outside. Please, he said softly. Don't walk away. Not again. Again. That word hit me like a storm. I turned to him, my eyes full of anger and longing. You walked away first, I said. He didn't deny it. He just nodded, looking down. I know, he said. And I've regretted it every day since. There was something in his voice, something raw. And for a moment I saw the boy I had once loved. The one who used to hold my hand under the stars, promising forever. But forever had come and gone, and I wasn't sure I could go back. We stood there in silence, the world moving around us. Cars passed, people laughed, life went on, as if our story had ended long ago. But standing there, I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit. I had spent all those years trying to erase him, but he had never truly left me. He was in every song, every sunset, every time I caught myself looking for something I couldn't name. That night, I went home and sat by the same window where I had once sworn never to cry for him again. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel anger. I felt tired. Tired of pretending I didn't care. Tired of running from the memories. I closed my eyes and whispered to myself, "Why now?" And in the quiet, my heart answered, "Because maybe now you're ready to forgive." The next morning, I woke up with the sun pouring through my window, lighting up the very same corner where I had once cried myself to sleep. But this time the tears didn't come. Instead, there was a strange calmness in my chest, like a storm that had finally passed. Still, his face lingered in my mind. The way he had looked at me yesterday, not with desperation but with quiet regret. That kind of look doesn't come from guilt. It comes from love, from someone who has lived with the weight of their choices for too long. I told myself to forget it, to go on with my day. But everything I did reminded me of him. The smell of coffee, the sound of rain on the street, even the song playing from the cafe downstairs, it was our song. I caught myself smiling. And that's when I knew. He had already broken through the walls I had spent years building. That evening as I walked home, I saw him again. He was waiting across the street, holding a small bouquet of white lilies, my favorite. I didn't move. I just stood there, heart racing, wondering if I should turn around. But I didn't. He crossed the street slowly, the same hesitation in his steps that I remembered so well. "I wasn't sure you'd want to see me again," he said, handing me the flowers. I wanted to tell him I didn't, that I was fine without him. But the truth caught in my throat, refusing to be silenced. "Why now?" I finally asked. He took a deep breath. "Because I finally realized that some people you don't move on from. You can distract yourself, lie to yourself, try to live 1,000 different lives. But at the end of the day, your heart knows where it belongs." I didn't say anything. My eyes fell on the flowers, trembling slightly in his hands. He continued, voice breaking a little. "I know I don't deserve a second chance. I hurt you. I made you believe I didn't care. But the truth is, leaving you was the hardest thing I've ever done." I frowned. "Then why did you do it?" He closed his eyes for a moment. "Because I was scared. Scared of not being enough for you. Scared of ruining your dreams. I thought you'd be better off without me." He opened his eyes and I saw tears glistening there. But I was wrong. I wasn't protecting you. I was running away. I wanted to stay angry. I wanted to remind him of every night I spent wondering what I'd done wrong. But instead I felt something else, empathy. Because I had run too. I had run from my feelings, from the memories, from anything that reminded me of him. We stood there in silence for a long moment. Then almost instinctively I said, "Come on. Let's walk." We wandered through the streets like we used to, side by side, but careful not to brush shoulders. The world felt softer somehow, as if time itself had slowed down just for us. He told me about the little things, his work, his new apartment, the quiet nights he spent alone. And I told him about my life too, how I had found a rhythm without him, though never true peace. There was something healing about it. Hearing his voice again, but this time without anger, without blame. Just honesty. As the evening deepened, we reached the park where we had once spent countless hours together. It hadn't changed much. The same benches, the same old oak tree. Only we had changed. He looked at me, his voice barely a whisper. "I used to come here after we broke up. I'd sit there and wonder if you were okay. If you'd ever forgive me." I smiled faintly. "I didn't. Not for a long time." "I know," he said softly. "And I don't expect you to. I just needed to tell you. I never stopped loving you." Those words hit me harder than I expected. Because deep down I had always known. Maybe love doesn't die. Maybe it just hides, waiting for the right moment to breathe again. I sat down on the bench and he joined me. We didn't speak for a while. We just watched the lights flicker through the trees. And for the first time, I didn't feel the weight of the past. I don't know if we can go back, I said finally. He nodded. Maybe we're not supposed to go back. Maybe we're supposed to start over. There it was, the quiet truth I had been avoiding. We couldn't undo the pain, but maybe we could build something new out of it. He reached for my hand slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. His fingers were warm, familiar. A piece of my heart I hadn't realized I'd been missing fell back into place. And just like that, all the years of silence melted away. We talked until the sky turned indigo, about who we were, who we became, and who we might still be, together or apart. There was no begging, no promises of forever, just understanding. When it was time to go, he walked me home. At my door he paused. "I'll wait," he said, "for as long as it takes." I looked into his eyes, and for the first time I didn't see the boy who left. I saw the man who came back, not to fix the past, but to face it. That night I lay in bed replaying every word, every glance. My heart ached, but not from pain, from hope. A fragile, unfamiliar kind of hope. Days turned into weeks. We saw each other often, slow, steady steps towards something neither of us dared to name. There were moments of laughter, moments of silence, and sometimes moments of doubt. But this time we didn't run. We stayed. One evening, as we walked by the river, he stopped suddenly. "Do you ever think about that night?" he asked. I knew which night he meant. The night I swore never to cry for him again. I nodded. "Every time it rains." He smiled softly. "I think about it too. About how I didn't deserve your tears then." I looked at him, the wind brushing against my face. "And what about now?" He hesitated. "Now? I just hope I'm someone worth them." Something inside me shifted. For years I had seen tears as weakness, proof that he still had power over me. But now I realized they weren't weakness. They were love. They were truth. So I let them fall. Slowly, quietly. Not because I was broken, but because I was healing. He reached out, wiping one away with his thumb. "You're crying," he whispered. I smiled through the tears. "I promised I wouldn't," I said. "But I guess some promises aren't meant to last forever." He pulled me closer, his voice trembling. "Then let me earn them this time." And in that moment, everything, the years apart, the pain, the silence, felt like it had led us here. Not to where we once were, but to where we were meant to be. Sometimes love doesn't return as a spark. It comes back quietly, like the sun after a long winter. You don't notice when it starts warming you again. You just realize one day that you're not cold anymore. He was my first heartbreak and somehow my final peace. I once swore I'd never cry for him again. But when he came back, I understood. The tears weren't for the pain he caused. They were for the love that never truly left. And maybe that's what forgiveness really is, remembering without hurting anymore.